Welcome to episode number 74 of the Beyond Social Media Show. I am David Erickson, your host. We are broadcasting live on November 29, 2014. You can find me on Twitter at @DErickson. My blog is e-strategyblog.com. I'm with, of course, my co-host, BL Ochman. BL you can find at What's Next at What's Next on Twitter. Her blog is what'snextblog.com. She is the CEO of maximum-plus.com, where you can find her and hire her for all things Google Plus and Google Hangouts on air. And, of course, BL writes for Ad Age as well. We start off every week with the worst that happened in online communications. We talk about the good things that happened the past week. We talk about some shiny new objects we've found and wrap it up with some stats you'll want to know. BL, you always have the honor of what went wrong last week.
Well, you know, more went right than went wrong, but of course there were Twitter travesties. They are never ending. And the one that was my favorite was from the CFO of Twitter, who either mistakenly or intentionally tweeted about a deal saying, I still think we should buy them. And it was their chief financial officer, Anthony Noto, and he posted a tweet about a plan. He had to buy a company. He said he had a plan. He wanted to make the deal happen. And the message was posted on Twitter, and then it was deleted. And they said he was trying. The Twitter spokesman Jim Prosser said he was trying to send the message privately, and you know, this is so common that it actually has a term called DM fail, direct message fail, and these happen pretty regularly. And you know, the high-profile one in 2010 was Dave McClure, the startup investor who mistakenly publicly tweeted about another Silicon Valley investor, Ron Conway, and said he was throwing him under the bus, and that resulted in a whole big mess. And then, of course, another notable DM fail was Anthony Weiner. Enough said there.
Yeah, this can, I mean, this sort of brings up a usability issue with Twitter. If the Twitter exec himself has problems privately DMing someone, then maybe there's a problem with the function of DM in Twitter itself. I think, you know, whenever I do a direct message to someone, I actually go through the direct message inbox rather than tweeting from the tweet window with a DM in front of the tweet, as you're supposed to do. Because I
would never do that. I go right into the inbox. But you know, there was some question about, did he really mean to make that private, or was that part of his strategy about buying the company? So who knows? You know, it's hard to imagine that that was a mistake. And another one that was really hard to imagine and disgusting is Roseanne Barr. You know, she had a funny TV show a long time ago, and she's been so unfunny ever since. And she posted a truly horrific selfie of her face all beaten and bloodied, and the caption read, "Tussle with Bill Cosby." And a few minutes later she said, "Got in a tussle with Bill Cosby, you should see that emperor." And more than 2 hours later, which of course in internet time is several dog years, she said it was all a joke. And the selfie, she said it was a chemical peel, and it was done to make her, quote, look more sexier. And then she said, I don't want to get sued or have Cosby send anybody to beat me up, but I think it's obvious 13-1. You know, we were talking about this in the green room. I mean, here you have somebody who has the audience, who has the power to be helpful to people, and like so many other people in her position, does something so completely idiotic. That's not funny. That is just not funny.
Yeah, she is. I mean, she is a comedian, so you have to have a little bit of latitude when dealing with comedians and what they do. But she has proven herself to be tone deaf too. I mean, she had the incident where she sang the national anthem and butchered it, and made a gesture afterwards that didn't strike a lot of people the right way. This seems to be another case of that.
Yeah, and you know, it's like, doesn't anybody think before they do anything anymore? I mean, it's not funny. You don't joke about domestic violence. You don't joke about rape. You just don't. So anyway, that's my bad news. You can go with yours, but I have lots of good news.
part of it, I think, too, is just Twitter is such an impulsive medium that you have a thought and you go directly to Twitter and share it without it going through the brain oftentimes. So you have the Twitter, the mistweet or the maybe mistweet. I've got a misblog or maybe misblog. Now, this is actually looks like a misblog. So Microsoft vice president mistakenly blogged about a deal. TechCrunch reported it was a short, unfinished blog post byline by Microsoft corporate vice president Rajesh Jha, I think is how you pronounce it, showed up in RSS feeds on Thursday. It was an empty post. The post was titled "Blank Post, Please Delete," but it led to a URL that had the keywords "Microsoft acquire Accompli." And so the blog post the title was supposed to be Microsoft acquires Accompli. Accompli is a mobile email app for professionals. You can see that at Accompli, ACOMPLI.com. So clearly this was a post being done in preparation of what appeared to be a fait accompli, a deal that has been already done. They're ready to announce it, just not quite ready, and somebody accidentally hit the publish button instead of the save or draft button. So.
Well, I mean, I can understand how that happens. You know, it's they're pretty close together.
Yep, they are. Yep, I've done it myself.
I've done it. I mean, I've done, you know, one time I was sending out newsletters, and I sent a client newsletter to my What's Next blog list, and the client was a company that made wigs and hairpieces, so people who are looking for What's Next blog posts about internet strategy and cases and everything, they're suddenly hearing about Barbie's hair, and I apologized, and a lot of people said, you know, that was really a fun read. So what's this about Twitter?
Yeah, so Twitter recently posted a blog post announcing that they want to know what mobile apps you've installed on your phone.
Why?
So they're collecting a list of the apps you've installed. They're calling it the App Graph. They promise they're not collecting data from your apps. They're just collecting the names of the apps that you've installed. Why? To help build a more tailored experience for you on Twitter. Improve the who to follow suggestions, tailor your content in your Twitter feed. You're noticing, I mean, even before this, that you are getting tweets and content from people that you're not actually following, but are based on the types of people you follow and the types of content you interact with. So it's an attempt to improve that. More targeted promoted content, too, so more targeted promoted posts. They haven't turned it on yet. But they say they'll notify you when they turn it on, but you do have to opt out. So I put this in bad, you know, because you have to opt out, basically.
Well, along those same lines, this week Facebook updated their privacy policies, and I've yet to figure out what they're talking about. They did something that you have to read for a long time. I only have good news, so just tell us your bad news.
All right. Lastly is this is just sort of bad. It's not really bad. Museum of Modern Art's Twitter feed. So it's Museum of Modern Art is their Twitter feed, and I just think the way they're a museum, right? So they're into visuals, right? The nature of how people use Twitter, you dip in, dip out of your feed. You scroll through your feed when you're looking at it to see what you want to do. Images often catch your eye, and so if you're a museum, then you want to promote the images that you've got at your disposal, right? But they only work if you upload them directly to Twitter or if you have a tool that actually does that for you, right? Most of them don't. Hootsuite doesn't upload the photos directly for you it doesn't just grab them from the content you're sharing. You have to actually upload it through Hootsuite. You have to upload it through Twitter. So I came across their feed, and they had a 1957 Fender Stratocaster guitar, which obviously as a guitarist I'm going to be interested in. I looked for it, but it was from an Instagram picture or a video of somebody playing the guitar. And what happens when you do that, you hook up Instagram to your Twitter feed, it sends a link to your Twitter feed to Instagram, so you have to actually click through to Instagram to see it. A workaround, that's because Facebook owns Instagram, and Twitter and Facebook don't play nicely together, right? So a workaround is to send it to your Tumblr blog and have your Tumblr blog automatically update to Twitter, and that way you get the embed without having to deal with the pissing match that Twitter and Facebook have going on. So anyway, it's a fairly easy workaround. A museum should be displaying their visuals is my main point, and they're really not. So. It's
a good point. So apropos your story on what just happened here on on Microsoft, Coach Moore said, and I don't know why we're not seeing it, but Coach Moore said that we used to call that inside information. Yeah, you got a point there. You know, and that's why I'm skeptical that these things are accidental. I'm quite sure they're not. So on to good news. I agree with you completely. You know, I don't like what happens when you use the third-party apps for images. I like to put them directly into Twitter, but you know, that doesn't scale.
And it takes forever to do. I mean, you're another step along the way. And if you tweet as much as we do,
yeah, it's true. It's really true. So you have a fun one about a cab driver. Tell us about that.
I was delighted. So this St. Paul Cabbie in St. Paul, Minnesota, started following me a couple of days ago. I'm like, a cabbie following me? I hadn't even thought of cabbies on Twitter, right? So I checked it out, and her name is Shay Eisenman. She is building an online audience, and it's just really, I mean, it's brilliant. It's really simple, but it's brilliant because nobody else is doing it, really. I haven't seen anybody else do this. So she's building a following on Twitter, on Facebook. She's begun blogging at the Star Tribune newspaper. Her most recent blog post was how Uber is affecting the taxi industry. And it got me thinking, in the wake of sort of Uber's PR disaster and their heavy-handedness with privacy issues, I wonder if people are going to start thinking about giving taxis the second look. And in my case, you know, I certainly will give this cabbie a try when I need a cab, because
you're so clever.
Because the way she's using Twitter and how she's building up trust, and really. You think about the taxi industry, you never know if you're being taken for a ride with a taxi, with a taxi service. They are notoriously inconsistent in when they show up. So I've had taxis I've called and they've never shown up. I've waited a half an hour, they show up 45 minutes after I call, whatever.
So you don't hail cabs on the street in Minneapolis?
I typically don't. I don't use cabs that often because I use public transportation most of the time. But when I need one, right? I want them to work. But anyway, some of the examples of Shay, her Twitter account is Shay Cab. It's CHEY Cab. And some of her examples of how she uses Twitter. Black Friday special for retail workers. Your weary faces have inspired me to offer 40% off your ride. Go have a few. And then she has a couple of beer icons next to that. Another one is, and then she'll comment on her fares, the stuff that her fares tell her, which is just fascinating. This is how a local criminal lawyer pays me. I always wonder what flavor of criminal the bills came from. And she has a picture of a $20 handful of $20 bills rolled up with a rubber band, and then she'll just use snippets of dialogues between her and her customers. Me, how often do you drive drunk? How often do you drive drunk versus use me? Customer, I use 10% of the time. I drive the rest. And her comment is, I don't need to have kids to worry. And then, man, have I told you how I found you? Young son. Oh no, this is going to get creepy. So she's very clever. She's very witty, and you know, she's just using it to build up, as social media is so tailored to do. Build up an intimate relationship. Basically, show off your personality and get to know people without actually knowing them.
I remember there was a cabbie who was writing poetry in his cab, and he was blogging that. I don't know if he was on Twitter. I think this was pre-Twitter. But yeah, her stuff is really clever, and I wonder if she's writing a book.
I wouldn't be surprised. That would be. She's a good writer, so that would be a good play.
Or whether we'll see a TV show with her. That wouldn't surprise me somehow, you know. That roll of $20 bills was certainly a little iffy. So this week, the YouTube sensation Zoella became the best-selling author in the UK and is poised to become the best-selling author in the US. And if you haven't heard of her, just ask any 14-year-old girl. I asked my niece on Thanksgiving, do you know who Zoella is? And she said, oh, yeah, everything about her. I want to be her. Okay, she has 6.5 million followers on YouTube. Her real name is Zoe Sugg. She's known as Zoella. And she just wrote a book, and it immediately became the #3 on Amazon just on the basis of pre-orders. It's called Girl Online, and it follows the story of Penny, who's a teenager who blogs about her feelings on friendship, family, boys, and her anxiety. And Zoella herself makes videos on the same topic, and she has panic attacks, and she talks about those and explains those. And she has videos with her boyfriend, who's just adorable. And he's also a videographer, and his name is Alfie. And they have she has 6.5 million YouTube subscribers. And one video with her and her boyfriend where they did a quiz on how well they know each other, and then the person who didn't know the answer got a plate of whipped cream in their face, which got really messy. That one's been watched more than 6 million times. And if you go look at her channel, a lot of her videos have been watched more than 6 million times. And when they moved in together, they did a video from their new home in their bed. There's some questions about how good a role model is she for 12-year-olds, but that horse left the barn. Kids are watching, and she's adorable.
It's astounding. I mean, obviously she's built up this huge following, and Prime built up a following to be ready to buy stuff from her, and her book sales are a perfect example of that. Did she? It seems like she sold ebooks first and then got a print book deal afterwards. Is that?
Yes, that appears to be the way that it happened. And she, thank you. I don't know how to say your name, Omi. But yes, it appears that that's the way she did it, and she talks about makeup. She talks about everything that kids care about, and she and Alfie talk about things that kids in relationships talk about. I love her.
Yes.
She's much more fun than some of the heavy-handed stuff that's out there. Anyway, the other lovely thing that I came across this week, or one of the other lovely things, was TD Bank, which has the Make Today Matter initiative. And what they did was they polled customers in various branches. They asked them, if you had $30,000 in one day to do something to give back to your community, what would it be? And then they picked the ones that sounded like they really could do what they said they wanted to do. And the examples are, these were inspiring ideas that they picked. So they ranged from making wheelchair-bound people's homes accessible. One hadn't been out of her home in 4 years. She said, I can't believe it. And another one did a wonderful thing called Elder History Day, which was to connect youth with their elders to preserve the oral history of the Meskwakis Cree Nation. And the idea is to help the young people stay on the right path by learning the history of the past. And, what was necessary was the technology. And she also equipped the community center with cameras and a computer with video editing software and taught them how to use it, and made a donation to the Elder Care Community Center for the support of the program. Another one was creating a safe space for LGBT kids and making a $6,000 donation to the Youth Project, which is a nonprofit charitable organization that provides support around to youth in the LGBT community around issues of sexual orientation and gender identity. So these people really were able to make a difference to a lot of people, and absolutely kudos to TD Bank for this one. This is a good one.
Yeah, well, this is they say you can't make a viral video, and generally you can't if you say I want to make a viral video. There is a formula for it. There are formulas for it, and this is sort of one of them. You do good, inspiring. Do good work, have inspiring stories, and then capture people's reaction to that, right? Because it's a beautiful video, and what makes it beautiful is the reactions of the people who are whose lives are being changed as a result of it, right?
And they really did change lives. lives, you know. And when you think about it in the grand scheme of things, $30,000 to make a significant change in people's lives and in communities is pretty amazing. And, you know, it's wonderful. Tell us some of your good news.
I came across, speaking of video, I came across a different type of format for video. Instagram video, right? They're 15 seconds long. That's your limitation. Somebody came across I came across, I don't even remember where, but 15 sec tech, 15 number 15 sectech.com is, and on Instagram it's 15 sec tech, is a video channel for Instagram of 15 seconds of technology related videos. So it's talking heads giving tips, just short 15-second tips, 15-second reviews of stuff. So they did a review of Google's Inbox app. They give tips on how to write auto-populated shortcuts on your phone for tweets and for text messages. So it's very useful and very smart use of the medium.
Can you really teach somebody something in 15 seconds?
Absolutely can.
Really? What'd they say about Inbox, or do you remember?
I don't remember, but
I'm still waiting for my invitation, by the way. I mean, email just drives me nuts. So everybody who's tried Inbox says that it's a vast improvement, so I'd like to know that.
and nudge, nudge.
Yeah, really. If anybody from Google is watching. So I think you have another pretty good one there, too, Dave. Tell us.
So, Amazon services. Amazon has quietly rolled out another service. It's in beta, and it's called Amazon Services. They're opening up their platform to service industry, so plumbers, electricians, car stereo installers. As I said, it's in beta in select cities. New York City is one of them. Minneapolis is not. They are charging. They're allowing people like that, plumbers, to sell their services using Amazon's platform. So Amazon has got e-commerce down flat, right? They can do transactions. They've got a huge audience. They've got a huge customer base, so they've got an audience you can advertise to. So these people can use Amazon as a platform for selling their services. They will charge a monthly subscription fee. It's waived through June 30, 2015 if you sign up now. Background check fee, so they're vetting the people who are doing it. They'll do a background check per business and then per employee who will be in the home doing work. So they're doing background checks on both the business itself and individual employees who would be doing the work and being in people's homes. Selling fees are 20% of the portion of the service price up to $1,000, and then 15% for any portion of service greater than $1,000. So, you know, given all the things that Amazon has got down pat and the big audience they have, I think for people like that that's got these types of businesses, it's something they should be looking into.
Well, there's Angie's List, which has been doing that for years and years, and I guess they decided to go head-to-head with Angie's List, and it remains to be seen whether somebody like that could possibly compete with Amazon. I mean, can anybody compete with Amazon for anything?
Yep.
You know, I mean, I almost don't want to buy from them anymore because they're just so big.
You know, it's sort of like, yeah, you feel the same way about Google. You can't avoid it.
Well, no. I mean, you know, they do seem to always have what you want, and they make it easy for you to get it. I mean, I had a customer service run-in that I don't really want to talk about this week, but I believe that customer service should be like the highest thing on the totem pole. You know, the senior executive should be handling customer service, and Amazon, they don't have that. So if you do have a problem, you know, fortunately, purchases with Amazon tend to be more or less problem-free, but when you have a problem, you can't get a human to save your life.
That's not uncommon with technology. I don't know that I've ever spoken to anyone at Google either, but and as you pointed out, I've never run into a customer service problem with Amazon because they're pretty damn good at it. So
well, I have, but if you want to speak to Google, what you do is you get Google for Work, and that gives you phone access. And I must say that it's well worth the $10 a month. That also gives you unlimited storage, because when you need somebody on the phone, you know, you can save yourself a whole lot of time. That has been, for me, the biggest change in my business is Google Apps for Work, because for my $10, I can call somebody and say, I have a problem, I have a question, and they help you. That's astounding. So,
What's this about chocolate you're on about?
okay. You're never going to think about chocolate the same way again. There's a French, and well, first of all, this is in the tradition of the great 19th century fartist named Le Pétomane. His name was Joseph Pujol, and he became the first flatulence musician. And it was a skill that eventually made him the most well-known and the highest paid entertainer in all of France. And he would basically come on stage and fart out tunes, and people would pay to see that. So I never thought, that anybody would come along that would in any way compete with him, or that anything could turn me off to chocolate until this week when I came across Christian Poincheval, who's a 65-year-old French inventor who has dedicated, for some reason, the past 8 years of his life to making farts smell better, and he now claims to have invented pills just in time for the holidays that make farts smell like chocolate. And for a mere $12.50 for 60 pills, you can try it. If you try it in my presence, I will probably kill you. He not only has pills to make farts smell like chocolate, he has ones that make them smell like roses and violets, and you're in luck. Those are on sale right now for a mere 25% off, which is $31 for 3 pills, plus you get a free one. You can have those. And, yep, he has one for dogs.
I imagine the guy spends a lot of time in elevators.
I don't know where he spends his time, but I don't want to meet him. You just don't mess with chocolate. You just don't. So let me just tell you a nicer story. UNICEF wants to create the largest ever global sing-along, and the idea is to raise awareness of children's rights. And so with the hashtag Every Voice Counts, they launched an interactive digital experience. It's powered by an app called TouchCast, which is fascinating. And you're able to record your own version of Imagine, John Lennon's iconic anthem of peace and hope, and you can do it alongside stars. And so you download this TouchCast app and in the iTunes store, and then you sing along, you record your interactive video, and you upload it. And they did this project in collaboration with Yoko Ono and a lot of UNICEF ambassadors and high-profile supporters, and they want to highlight the tremendous challenges that children face all over the world, and of course to get you to donate to UNICEF. And it's just a beautiful, it just makes you feel all warm and fuzzy.
Well, they've crowdsourced We Are the World, right?
Yes, they did. And there's some wonderful singing, there's some horrible singing, there's some adorable people. It's just wonderful. Coach Moore says, chocolate is good for you, and I will just regard that story you just told. You are so right. Don't mess with chocolate. So I really think that some of the things that UNICEF has done have been pretty outstanding. I think that brings us to shiny new objects, right?
Let's talk shiny new objects.
Okay, so this is one that's very of the season. It's a purse that's snapped shut to prevent shopaholics from spending, and it's not new, but it's timely now, so I brought it up. And it's developed by an Australian company called Credit Card Finder, and it's a GPS-enabled purse that highlights the spending problem in Australia. And they took a survey and they found that 2/3 of credit card users don't pay their bill in full, and they spend more than $500 a month. 45% don't pay off the full balance, so they're needlessly adding interest. So this was a publicity stunt way of making the point of a growing problem, and the purse literally snaps shut so you can't get your credit card out.
That's hilarious, but it is becoming less and less effective with each passing year, as we will detail in the daily numbers.
Okay. And the other one that I found, which I suppose is kind of a necessary evil, is it's called DeathSwitch, and it's an automated system that will deliver your critical information and passwords to designated parties after your death. However, However, this is one of those what could possibly go wrong situations. It's an automated system. It prompts you for your password on a regular schedule to make sure you're still alive. So if you don't enter your password for a certain period of time, it prompts you again several times. If you don't reply, the computer deduces that you're dead or critically disabled, and it sends these pre-scripted messages automatically to the people who you have designated, and that's the what could possibly go wrong part, because what if you're not dead? But they can check on you once a day or once a year, and you can change the frequency and the number of checks they make if you don't respond. And they claim that they encrypt all of your data, and they suggest that you encode your messages where possible. I don't know how many of us know how to do that, but a free version notifies one person with one message, and for $19.95 a year you can notify up to 10 people with up to 30 messages. So, there is a huge question about what happens in social media and in your information if you are dead. So I suppose that's a useful suggestion.
It's an absolutely needed service. I mean, where do you passwords to your stuff? If you die prematurely and you have a lot of work-related stuff, you own your own business, and there's a lot of questions. I think it's something that newspapers should be offering, because what's the last thing you go to newspapers for? Everybody goes there to place an obit, right? So write your obit up front. Buy the service, set it up through the logical place. It's another revenue stream that newspapers can capture that they are losing out on big time these days. So.
Well, I think it is necessary. It's just a little creepy. The other thing that I find useful is the DoShare Chrome extension, and Ray Hiltz reminded me about that this week. And it's the big dog for Google Plus animation. There aren't a lot of platforms that have tuned into Google Plus yet, and so you can do a lot of things. You can share links from any tab to Google Plus from any tab on Chrome. You can create a post. You can schedule a post for later. It supports sharing in circles, plus mentions, Google Plus communities, link sharing, reshares, photo uploads. It's a very important. It also supports hashtags. So. And you can save an incomplete draft for later. And this is an issue in Google Plus, because if you hit the wrong key, you'll find the post that you were working so hard on suddenly has disappeared, and there's no way to get it back. So instead of having to work in Word and then bring it into Google Plus, you can use DoShare and you can save your drafts.
Yeah, I like the DoShare app a lot. It's very useful, and one of the most useful things is you can share stuff to Google Pages from tools like Hootsuite, but not your personal profile. And so this allows you to do schedule tweets for your tweets, schedule Google Plus updates from for your personal profile too.
Well, and that's really important. And I think that the apps that are out there are catching up, but ever so slowly.
Yeah. So my shiny new stuff, I've got TagBoard, tagboard.com. You can find social content by hashtag using it. You can filter it by Twitter, by Facebook, by Instagram, by Google+, by Vine, by Flickr, all of the above, or any combination thereof. You can create your own tag board. So for a free account, you get one tag board that you can create based on a hashtag, for which you can upload an icon and banner image, so you can brand it. You can include your URLs, so your social accounts, your blog or website. I created one for myself and did one for the Beyond Social Media show, so you can see the tweets there, but see it in action. Cool little tool. Two other ones: WP plugin directory, WordPress plugin directory. It's wpplugindirectory.org, and this is an improvement over the native search for plugins within WordPress,
which is awful.
Which is awful, because you can search for, but you can't sort. So what I want to do is search for what I'm looking for, and then sort by the number of downloads, and then scan that list, the most downloaded stuff, and then look at the reviews based on the volume of downloads. Right? I figure if there's a lot of people downloading it and the reviews are good, then it's a good chance it's a good app. So
I like that. I'm going to look for that.
Last one, I just tried this out. This is called DayOne app. DayOne, D-A-Y, 1 spelled out. Oh, oh, one, whatever. Thank you. It's a journaling app. Now, I haven't I haven't really journaled since I was a kid, but I do want to keep track of my thoughts as I have them in a quick and efficient manner, and this is a great app for that. It is a for-fee app. It costs $4.99, but it's super easy to use. It auto-records the date time, so date time stamps your entries. It also includes your location and the weather at the time, so that's interesting. It sends you a daily reminder to use it, so there's that. You can add photos, you can add hashtags. It syncs to your DropCloud or iCloud, but a very easy way for me to record ideas that I have, so it's worth looking at.
That's interesting, Dave. That you're journaling, and as opposed to, using Evernote or one of those. What's the difference?
My standard thing has been to email myself with ideas. Evernote, I just haven't taken enough time to. I've got the for-fee version, but I just haven't taken enough time to learn the ins and outs. So I thought I'd try this.
Well, I have to admit that I haven't learned Evernote either, although I'd really like to, because it just seems to be so full of features that are great. So this brings us, we're running a little late, this brings us to the daily numbers.
Daily numbers. So it is not Black Friday. It's the day after Black Friday, but we have just entered the selling season for the holiday. So 2014 Thanksgiving and Black Friday online sales. This is from IBM Digital Analytics Benchmark Data. Fresh hot off the presses, as it were. For the first time, mobile traffic outpaced traffic from PCs on Thanksgiving Day. So getting back to your purse that snapped shut, it's not going to work with online sales, is it? Thanksgiving Day reached new mobile tipping point with browsing on smartphones and tablets accounting for 52.1% of all online traffic. Thanksgiving online sales were up 14.3% compared to 2013. Black Friday online sales up 9.5% year over year. Mobile accounted for 1 in 4 of all online purchases. New York City, top U.S. city for Black Friday online shopping. Black Friday mobile traffic reached 49.6% of all online traffic, an increase of 25% over last year. And smartphones drove 34.7% of all Black Friday online traffic. More than double of that was tablets, which accounted for 14.6%. So people browse on websites on their phones and make purchases on their tablets.
I'm not surprised that New York City was the top city for phone purchases because, we're lazy. We don't want to stand in line in stores. But one of the front page stories in the New York Times today was that there were not big crowds for Black Friday, and the people who got there didn't buy a lot. So, I think people have reached the point where they're like, if I really need that, I'll buy it, but nobody's spending frivolously at this moment.
Yeah.
So that brings us to the end of episode 74 of the Beyond Social Media Show. And later, probably tonight, we will timestamp this video so that you will be able to go directly to any segment that you find interesting. And we will post it on YouTube and on the Beyond Social Media Show blog, which is beyondsocialmediashow.com. And we will also post the playlist there with links to everything we talked about today. And to find us online, you find David. He's D. Erickson on Twitter. He is eStrategyTrendsblog.com. Did I get that right?
Trends.e-strategyblog.com, but if you search for eStrategy Trends, you'll find it.
Okay. On which he covers trends. And he also has eStrategyBlog.com. He also has a wonderful YouTube channel. Of course, he's on Google+. And you will find me on Twitter. I am at What's Next. On my blog is what'snextblog.com. I'm CEO of maximum-plus.com for all things Google+ and online events via Hangout. And I'm sure there are other. Oh yes, I write for Ad Age, and of course I'm on Google+ most of the time. So thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back next Saturday at 12:30, and we'll cover the best and the worst in social media. And we hope to see you then. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for watching.